What's up, TIW Mafia? JP here with Big Joe, and we're here with this guy. That's our leprechaun. Oh, wait, no, he's over there. Our Irish leprechaun. This
Hi,
is, for those who don't know, this is Jeff Ludy, a wrestler that trained under Killer Kowalski, a retired pro wrestler that trained under Killer Kowalski, and wrestled for years as the Irish leprechaun.
16 years.
That's
a long time.
How many that you know of, how many people, I'll say of your stature, wrestled for or trained by Kowalski?
To the best of my knowledge, there was only 3 of us, and 2 of them are no longer with us. God bless them. One was Dana Carpenter, and another gentleman came under, and I don't even want to say he was even a midget. He was just a very small gentleman, and his name was Mr. Fu, and he lasted maybe about a year and everything. But for what Walter taught him, we were a top show.
You were on every poster.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
And hey, I was honored.
Well, everyone needs a little luck.
Hey, just a little. Just a little. I try to bring as much as we can.
There you go. Now, you wrestled. You're finding your bio on the internet is kind of tough because
it's technology.
Midget wrestling isn't mainstream right now.
I've noticed I am so happy, impressed with it because it has taken off. Back in the 80s and 90s, a gentleman named Whipper Watson Jr. up in Canada and myself and a couple of other little guys started to do an all-midget wrestling show and everything. And that kind of, we was doing bars and small clubs and stuff, and it started to take off. But we didn't have the talent that they have nowadays and the technology and the internet. And I've watched it, and I'm smiling. I'm like, finally, thank you. And it's beautiful, the talent that they got nowadays.
There's a lot of it.
Yes.
And the stigma socially behind the word midget is on par for many of your other words you can't say.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
there's 2, in my opinion, there's 2 different meanings of that. We're known as midget wrestlers, entertainers. Okay, society automatically consists of midget going small, but politically correct, midget is also kind of a derogatory term. It's how you use it. If you say, hey, I'm going to go see midget wrestling, that's kind of a happy thing. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters, you know what it is. But if you look over and say, oh, look at the midget, totally different.
So is it like, I always thought it was like only a midget can call another midget a midget.
In a way, you're correct. You are very, very correct. Because there's like other races and everything that they call each other the same.
Yeah.
And they can get away with it because it means totally different.
So if you were in the locker room and you had beef with somebody and you started calling them a midget this and a midget that, it's you know, I don't think that would probably come out because it's much better words to use when you're cutting someone.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I actually think little person or dwarf is almost more offensive.
Little person, to me, is the most offensive. We live in a society now where big is, hey, okay, I got more, I got big, I got the most of it and everything. Little, people go, oh, that's so cute.
I raised my kids calling them little people.
Exactly. When they asked me, what do you prefer being called? I said, Jeff is a nice start.
There you go.
Yeah, or the leprechaun. It depends on what the issue is. If you're at the supermarket, hi, I'm Jeff. If we're at a show, the leprechaun. It's different each time.
Yep.
Good. That's a good way of putting it. In something that nobody can argue.
No.
It's
no.
Now, when did you start training and what brought you to Kowalski School?
That's a good question, my friend. Very good question. Back in the early 80s, I was doing house painting and construction and all of that type of stuff. And I got a job with a gentleman doing his house with a gentleman way back named Wendell Weatherby. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And you're talking a couple of years back. And he looked at me and smiled and he said, I have someone to talk to you. And he introduced me to Killer Walter. And at that time, Killer School was in Chinatown in Boston, above an old movie theater and all of that stuff, and Chinese restaurant. And the ring was set up on was the stage. And that was where I mentioned earlier, my first day, my first couple of weeks, I would get the step ladder. I was given a 3-foot step ladder to climb it up, stand on the top, and I had to do 50 forward flips off the top and land on a mat onto my back, do 50 back flips, and then step into the ring. And Walter would start talking to me and teaching me how to fall properly, how to fight properly.
I have a feeling that many legendary pro wrestling stories started with One Night in Chinatown in Boston.
Back then, many, and I hope you guys had them on and everything. We all know who we're talking. Back then, I knew him as Triple H and China and all of them. These were the guys that came to the school while we were being taught by Walter. And when you see them compared to now, they were kids. God bless them. They were kids. And I'm so proud of them now for what they did.
Yeah.
When Triple H first started, he was terrorizing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. With John Rodeo as his manager.
Yep. Yeah, you're putting some age on us now.
But
some years on us now.
That stuff is cool again, though, because like even WWE is selling terrorizing shirts now.
It's what I found over the years is a cycle. It's a circle. It will build up speed, pick up the momentum. Everyone loves it. And then it quiets down for a couple of years. And then it comes back again and does it again. And then again and stuff. And that's the trick is how long you can last.
Back then, independent wrestling wasn't what independent wrestling is today either, though. Like you guys wrestled in front of thousands back then.
Yes. From carnivals to theaters to even these big time shows, big theaters where there'd be 5,000-6,000 people jammed into a hall or something.
Right, and Kowalski and some of the guys that were before I started going to like I'm local as well. Me and Joe are both from Boston. Before I started going to shows, but guys like Tony Rumble, Walter. Yep. You know what I mean? There was no small independent shows. You couldn't get away with it.
You couldn't sneak in with John Smith or something. Either one of those gentlemen, there was about 3 of them that knew who, what, where, when. And you kind of had to go through them and stuff. Territory. It was basically a territory thing. And now with internet and TV and everything, this is the territory.
Now, do you follow any pro wrestling now?
I used to, but with my career now and my family and everything, I really don't have time to sit there. I watch it on Saturday morning, and it has, oh my God, it has turned into such a multi-million-dollar business. I'm impressed.
It's basically the way I look at it now. It's a soap opera where people take bumps.
Yes. It is a live event soap opera. And if anyone is a true wrestling fan, you see that. You see who has the feuds, who has the heated debates, and who will stand up with for each other and everything like that. It's a soap opera.
Now, I think we probably already touched on it, but who were your biggest feuds? Who did you travel the most with and wrestle?
I've had the wondrous opportunity from individuals from like Frenchie Lamont, Haiti Kid, the Tiger Jackson, Haiti Kid, Tiger Jackson, Little Louie, Twitch, He was one of my hardest components because he cheated a lot. And God bless him, he wasn't a midget. He was just a very heavy set, short kid. And I kept telling him that. Oh, did that get him mad? But these were like my 4 or 5 main people until I went to like Japan or Mexico, and I would get some of the local ones from down there.
Now, so were you the midget taunting the non-midget? Is that what that was?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was having fun with him. I said, even LPA, Little People of America, would reject your butt. And he didn't know what to say and what to do. And he would get so PO'd. I said, you can't even be an average man or a midget, really? And it was just work. It was just talk. Come on.
Yes.
Build up this heat. And the poor man, have you ever seen a grown man cry? It was actually kind of funny. He didn't know how to handle me.
So you took the gimmick of the leprechaun, but lived it in true style of a leprechaun. You were a mischievous little bastard who busted people's balls every chance you got.
Damn right.
There you go. Don't stop.
Damn right.
Please don't stop.
I can't. My mom sat there and said, if you can't beat them up, make sure they remember you. Bust their nuts.
If you can't beat them, make fun of them.
You got it. But respect them. Respect them and appreciate who they are. Because, but make them laugh. Make them enjoy themselves. And, I had fun busting the balls, especially little Louie. He had none. His wife had him.
Now, Joe Solenzer on YouTube wants to know, who was your favorite as you were starting out?
That's a good one. Dana Carpenter. Dana Carpenter was from Holbrook, Mass. But he taught me many things. I worked with him for almost 2.5 years, and he taught me because of his size. He was about a foot taller than me, and he was I told him and Butch Cassidy, who was one of my other favorites too. I said, you guys got to team up. And they taught me how, no matter the size, you can work with it. And they, as I said, I'd come up to their middle of their chest, but they taught me how to take a bump, how to work with the taller ones, and everything. And that got me to work with the average individuals too.
Okay.
But those two guys were, I believe, one of my favorite teachers, actors, and all that.
Now, when you were training, was Killer still like the head trainer there, or did he have other coaches in at that point?
No, he was the one that stepped in the ring. He was the one that showed you how to do a backdrop and everything like that. And Killer, God bless your soul, my friend. 6'6", 6'7", and everything. And now imagine being 4 feet getting slammed by him. That woke you up. And he says there's a bad way of doing it and there's the right way. And all of a sudden he would pick me up. Whoop, boom, in the middle of the ring. How does that feel? Give me a minute. I got to breathe. Hang on. But he was, again, so much respect for that man.
Now, did he teach, the way I've heard he taught was, he's going to hurt you, then he's going to teach you. He'll hurt you, then he'll learn you.
Yes, you have it right on the back. He says to respect the business, you got to understand it. And out of all the workers that have gone through this business, which you gentlemen probably have seen, there's hundreds of them. And if you can get 1 to 2, if you can get 2 individuals last 2 years, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And he even told me that. He says, I'm going to teach you how to hurt people and respect that pain.
Yes.
So tomorrow you won't do it because the next day you're going to need someone to work with. And if you break everyone, hurt everyone, you ain't going to have no one to work with.
Well, you need to know how to hurt them in order to know how to
not hurt them.
Right.
Exactly. And even karate experts, martial arts experts, all do the same thing. They'll teach you how to hurt, to fix, then to teach you how to not hurt.
Exactly.
And that's what Walter did.
Now, how do you feel like with the style of wrestling that was traditionally midget wrestling, like the comedy ha-ha spots and all of that, a lot of that has evolved now.
Yes.
Into like I'll say real wrestling, but I think you know what I mean. Like not just the bite in the butt, the but
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
body slams and
The old gimmicks, the old
No.
Yes.
afro that everyone liked.
It was
They were
almost like,
good. They're classics, but I've noticed as society evolves with humor and all of that stuff, those simple moves that you see on wrestling, it doesn't pass no more.
uh,
They need that high flying, that continuous action. Boom, 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 boom. When I was training, we were basically taught three high moves, 3 to 4 high moves per match. And that was a 10 to a 15-minute match. If you
yeah.
needed more than that, you're not selling to the audience. They're not buying it. Now it's boom, high spot, high spot, high spot,
Well,
high spot, high spot.
I think you just hit on it. Like, and the way I always describe it is that old school wrestling, you guys told the audience what they wanted.
Yes,
The audience didn't tell you what they wanted.
got it.
And I think now it's been dictated the other way around.
The table has spun. Table has spun.
But that being said, I think if a real old school wrestler got in there, I think they'd have the audience eating out of their hands still.
Oh, big time. Big time. Because many blessings to the workers they have now. And they're getting the experience that they need and stuff. But if you throw an old timer in, like you said, the one that's been in the business for 10 to 15 years, even a simple armbar or a leg lock or anything like that, that old timer, male or female, will be able to sell it, quote, quote, to the audience, and they can sell it and they'll see that. And they'll respect that more than, again, boom, 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 boom.
No.
and that's like you take a person like William Regal,
Yes.
or his various names. Now he's a classically trained old school wrestler, but he can sell the gimmick and make it look, for the guy that just comes in the typical tights and his little short, and he's in there, he'd make it work.
Yes. He would be able to. Walter taught us a very simple armbar or hand lock or whatever to apply it, but just that extra 2 pounds of pressure or extra little torque on it can actually break, retrieve, dislocate your bone, your stuff. And then from there, just back on. And like you're saying, Regal, old school, knows how to bring it to that point and then back it off just again. So we have someone to work with tomorrow.
I got a question that might make you cringe, and I apologize if it did. What was
If
the
it has
claw?
anything to do with my ex-wife, that'll do.
what was the claw like?
That hurt. That hurt. Simple things like hold the shoulder, locking into the shoulder blade or the claw. If you don't have a washboard stomach and everything, even that, if you relax, you can get those fingers in to those muscles and just hold. And from being then, even if you try to tense up, that's gonna hurt worse because your fingers are in between the muscles and the ribs and all that area. And you just
Everybody I
hold.
know that's come through Kowalski school is afraid of the claw.
Oh, that one of the
And
moves.
if you guys don't know, who are listening to this or watching this, Killer Kowalski was known for infamous for his claw.
Yes, he was.
I'm a big guy. I'm 6'7", 6'8", and I have a good size hand. There we go. But his fingers look like they were about 4 inches longer than mine.
Think of my head. He could go like this, and his whole hand was like that, covering my eyes, my whole head.
That's
Killer's hand.
So I had to ask that because that was sort of like, there's one more quote unquote Mark question that I think we want to ask, and that's, who was in the school when you were there?
Oh, at that time, I was even in before Triple H and China and all them. They came in a couple of months after me. We had Chris Duffy, gorgeous Chris Duffy. A lot of the workers, Ron Starr, Chris Duffy, the Pink Assassin, these were some of the guys that were coming through. And then because of when I went through it, I got called basically to Puerto Rico with Butch Cassidy, Haiti Kid, Tiger Jackson for 6 months. And when
Well,
you get into a territory, you're working 6 days out of the week.
right.
And yeah, I fell in love with it then.
What was Puerto Rico?
Must have been tough.
Well, put it this way: there was an incident down there with, again, God rest his soul, Bruiser Brody. I was in the locker room. Me and some of us were in the locker room when that went down.
We had, I think it was Hugo Samovich we had on talking about that.
Yeah.
And that was there weren't many people that were there. And the people who talk about it, the stories have changed. But I think everybody knows at this point, like, what happened.
What and when.
Yeah, right.
And it was a sad time. But it also will show to the audience that how believable it can be.
Yes.
Even within the locker room, how believable it can be.
What was it like to work? Like, because you've obviously done shows with Brody down there then. Like, everybody, he seems like he was a lunatic, and everything I've seen is...
He was funny. It was funny as anything, because he'd be sitting there in the locker room doing his thing, getting ready, cracking jokes. And even in the ring, if you had the mixed tag or you were out nearby, and he would throw you looks, so you're trying to keep the straight face on while he's bleeding, or his opponent's bleeding, Abdul is bleeding, or he's bleeding, and you're trying to no, stop making us laugh. We're not supposed to show this. But it was cool. He was a good man. Good soul.
Now, when that happened in the locker room, did you not get attention in the locker room when, like, the police were there because of your size, maybe?
When that all went down, no one saw anything because it was, quote, showers.
Yeah.
And when it went down, everyone kind of, let's get that, how can I say, H out of here. The cops came in and started talking, but anyone that wasn't basically in eye view was kind of dismissed.
Okay.
And everything. And we're just like, you knew what went down, but didn't actually see it. So, goodbye. Thank you. Have a nice day.
What's crazy about that is how big wrestling was in Puerto Rico is, like, there's people that think maybe the cops were lying about it too.
It was a territory, and I hope it still is, because if you want to learn about wrestling, that's where you want to go, is into a territory. They believed it. They believed 100% that there's feuds and arguments and all of that stuff in between the boys. And a lot of times there are, but a lot of the boys will understand that feud is in that squared circle.
Right.
After that, we're buddies outside.
Now, how do you feel, like, in Puerto Rico, was that allowed? Were you allowed to, like, if you had your match, were you allowed to go out and have a beer with the guy that you wrestled?
No, you weren't even allowed to stay in the same hotel.
Is that right?
Yeah. And when I went down with Butch Cassidy, Haiti Kid, Tiger Jackson, we were within the same neighborhood, but we weren't allowed to stay in the same hotel. We couldn't ride together, the whole 9 yards, or be seen within public and stuff.
I believe that the kayfabe for that actually was broken due to Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, they were arrested together, leaving Madison Square Garden, pulled over, drinking and driving, smoking weed.
Yeah, Sheik had a little bit of weed on him.
My blessing. I'm not saying a word on that one, but those were the boys. Those were the boys. God bless them. We knew who they were. We're like, please get there safely.
Yeah. At the time that happened, Sheik was at the top, and Hacksaw was, like, sort of in that mid-card status. So Hacksaw got fired.
Okay, sorry.
There was, like, nothing with Sheik on that, but that was the story there.
The stories, I really wish some of those boys would write autobiographies and explain the locker room atmosphere, the drives to the shows. It's an atmosphere that I miss, seriously. I
That's
did it for 15 years and I had to get out because of injury and everything. But yeah, I missed it because you could not stop laughing or enjoying yourself.
now
I
they
think you
didn't
should
take
write-
the worker.
Huh?
They didn't take the worker out of you. I think Joe was about to say,
Well, I was going to say, I think you should write the autobiography, and I have the title for you.
"Oh no, oh no."
A Small Peek into Wrestling.
That's way different than I thought you were gonna go.
Yeah, my mind went someplace else too.
Well, I could have gone there.
I've thought of that. I go, my life, fact or fiction, you decide.
There you go.
And because
That's-
of what I've done in my life, who's gonna believe me? From wrestling being splashed by King Kong Bundy, Brody, as I said, and then doing what I've done from wildlife education to now blacksmithing. I can't argue. I can't argue for my life. And I'm honored to what these boys have then taught me. They taught me you fight for what you want. You fight for your belief. And thank you.
Absolutely. Now,
Yes.
we went to Puerto Rico, where Puerto Rico's part of the U.S.,
Yeah.
but I'm going
Yes.
to challenge you. We spoke earlier. You've been to 27 countries.
Yes.
Can you name them?
Oh boy. Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Spain, Portugal, Jordan, Lebanon, all of Canada, all of Puerto Rico, most of Mexico, part of Japan. I mentioned Japan, all of Canada, Northern Territory. And you want to do a show for Eskimos. There's a show. But yeah, those are just some of them that I've had the wondrous opportunity of exploring. I have parts of the Berlin Wall. I swam in
Wow.
the Dead Sea. As I said, I've been in 5-star hotels, eaten with royalty, not on the same table, but during the same meal. And this is all honors that from wrestling that I've had the opportunity of enjoying. And that's why I say that's what I miss.
Oh, do you have a Ribeiro Steakhouse jacket?
I wish. Because the funny part is I'm 90% vegetarian.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't, because of one of my other jobs, I was a wildlife educator. I babysat tiger cubs. And
I was gonna
yeah.
ask if you learned that from Kowalski too.
no, I really wish I did. And one of my, as I said, I babysat tiger cubs. And one of the tricks is you really don't want to smell what we feed them. So
Oh,
if you're eating steak and meat, that's what we're feeding them. You don't want to do that. And I did
That's-
that for about another 15, 20 years.
wow. That is, I have I've been watching the TV show Zoo the past week, and I have it's been giving me trust issues with the animals. It's a fictional story about if animals decided they didn't have to be afraid of humans anymore.
Uh-huh.
So-
They'll snap. You got to respect them. They're still a wildlife. They're
Yes.
still wild.
I have animal trust issues now, so I now look up to you even more.
But now here's a picture. I want you to look eye to eye to a tiger.
Oh,
I've done it.
No, being standing up as he's standing and you are
Oh,
face to face. Do you understand what
Yeah.
I mean now?
I see that now.
Yes. And you're
I've
standing
done
there going, praying to God, oh, please, I'm not a cat toy. Don't, no.
It's like you see in the cartoons, like in his eye, you turn into a sandwich.
that's
But I've
That
done
is-
that through King Richard when I've met you.
Yes, where we
Um,
talked prior.
with Doc Antle.
Yes.
And there a few years ago, me and the family drove down to his reservation in Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
The Myrtle Beach
Yeah.
Safari, and it was phenomenal.
Then you met Bubbles, the elephant?
Yes.
Oh.
Awesome.
Oh.
I got to feed it. I think it was a squash or something.
Yes. Again, I stand 4 feet tall. One of my animal that I took care of was Bubbles. Okay. He broke out of his pen one day, and I joked with him. I said, now I'm going to have to tell Dad, because here's this 5,000-6,000 pound, 12-foot, 13-foot elephant, and I'm standing there scolding him, pointing my finger at him, saying, I'm going to have to tell your father on you. He literally, my hand to the Lord, looked at me, the horn, everything goes, and he wouldn't let me get to the main compound where the phone was
Oh,
because he
boy.
knew where it was. So I'm standing there with my cell going, Doc, hello, can you come home now, please? We have a problem. We have a problem, Houston. But oh, the memories. And he knew. He knew what if I could get to the phone, he would get in trouble. And that was Bubbles.
He'd get half a carrot instead of the whole one.
Oh,
No.
we gave him chocolate cake. Have you ever given an animal a chocolate cake? The whole thing at once? It's enjoyable. It was stories. I have stories for those guys.
Now, how did you get into the animal conservation stuff?
Now that's a good one too. Doing the wrestling and everything. And one of the wrestlers, Butch Cassidy from New York, which I would love to contact again, he got a gig doing stage fighting through a gentleman down there. And we were brought on to actually stage fight, Butch Cassidy and me, on how to handle broadswords and shields. And I fought with a staff and all of that type of stuff. And that's how I got into it. That was the year that Butch Cassidy actually split my head open with the shield right across my forehead. He swung. I didn't duck enough. And the poor guy looked at me and said, uh-oh, what do I do? I said, you just made the midget bleed. I'd protect yourself. And we went at it. Boom, 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 boom. Ran in the back. Ended up getting 8 stitches across my forehead. And he sat there and he said, are you okay? I said, it's business, my friend. I know you didn't mean it.
Yeah.
But that's a story. That's how I got into it, doing the fair. And then with Doc Antle, he looked at me and he said, you're one tough little beep, beep, beep. How would you like to babysit my tigers? Okay. And he taught me what to do, trained me how to do it. And that's why I said I got wildlife education training. I school, as I said, professional wrestling. And now I'm getting blacksmith training.
That's so you make weapons.
Stage combat weapons.
Do you make more than the short sword?
Oh, I make all of them. And you should see me with a claymore.
Oh.
Exactly. Have you ever seen a 4-foot guy with a 6-foot blade?
I don't want to.
I recommend running.
I mean, I'm sitting there trying to say all these little under the cuff remarks, and it's all fun, and you know that. But now that you mention it, you can wield a 6-foot sword, I might want to,
come down to King Richard's Fair.
I'll stay over by the Mud Show.
Yeah, opening weekend is September 4th. So come on down. We do we show you how to make them, and yes.
You're gonna have to.
That's
come on down, my friend. You'd be welcomed and everything. No. And I will show you the end of the broadsword. I mean, yes, I will show you a broadsword.
Now, do people go like you have to fit? You must fit right in at King Richard's Fair. Like, so you're not only making the weapons, but you're also like an exhibit at the same time.
Yes. Yes, I understand that question. And people will ask me that. And I basically tell them, we're all born short, fat, thin, tall, black, white, polka dotted. Doesn't matter. If it's in your heart, follow what's in your heart. Do what's in your heart. And because of it, I can't complain for what I've been able to accomplish in my life. I cannot complain. So if you want to do it, don't sit on the couch thinking you're going to do it. Get up, go out and do it.
Thank you for that.
That's good advice.
Now, what would you say to a family member who wanted to get into pro wrestling? Would you say the same thing?
Very quietly, I would ask them if they had any siblings first. Because if they've had siblings, they've had some wrestling experience. Beating each other up and all that stuff, and then loving each other after. That question, my friend, I would have to look at the individual and say, my first question would be, why do you want to get into wrestling? Oh, so I can be in the lights and camera and all of that type of stuff. And my first would be like, not for you. It's not for you, my friend. You would last about 2 weeks.
I think that has to be the second or third thing.
Yes.
From what I've seen from people who've made it, like that has to be number 2 or 3, but it cannot be number 1.
No, it's again, when I was being trained by Walter Killer Kowalski, when I first started training, he looked at me, and for the first week before I was even allowed to step into the ring, I was given a 3-foot step ladder. Now I'm 4 feet. I was given a 3-foot step ladder and those hard gymnastic mats there,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had to climb to the top, stand on the top, and do a forward roll off the top, land on my back on the mat, 50 times forward, 50 times back. Then after that, you would step into the ring and Walter would start to talk to you and train you. That also showed to me and Walter that your heart's into it, not your heart and your soul. You
Right.
just don't look for the lights. And I did that for almost 2 to 3 months before I even was taught how to take a proper fall.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So
And
it was just
that's what
go up
Walter
and do
and I
this,
have to
go
say.
up. So by the time you knew how to take the proper, by the time you were taught how to take the proper fall, you sort of already knew.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And that was when I stepped in to the ring and Walter said, "Are you ready?" Now, again, I stand 4 foot. Walter's 6'6" plus at this time. He goes, "You ready?" And I said, "Yeah." The man picked me up and body slammed me in the middle of the ring.
it's a long
I
way
said,
down.
"Yeah, that's a lot of weight and a lot of height."
I'd still rather have him than
Long
one
way
Tiger.
down.
Yeah. And after he stood there and after my lungs basically caught up to me, and I was able to breathe again, he said, "You still interested?" I said, "Yep, let's do this." And we
That's
went from there.
somebody just reported, and I just checked it online too, and this is sad. This is Del Wilkes, who was the Patriot, the original Patriot, I believe,
God rest his soul. Yes, I just heard
just passed
he
away.
just passed. Yes, God bless his soul.
You
He
know,
just
that
passed.
was I had to Google it to see which one because of course that gimmick got passed down a little bit.
Times. Yes,
Um,
but the
but
original, yes.
yeah, he was a traditional wrestler look
Ye-
back then.
Yes, he was the
Um,
one that would work you. You had to work for your dollar, put it that way.
is that now? Did you get a chance? Because I don't. I mean, you mentioned Bundy.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to wrestle with the quote unquote normal size wrestlers back then a lot?
Yeah or no. It was like a mixed tag and mixed tag on some of them, but they didn't know how to quote handle us because all of a sudden I would be up around their head with my legs and arm wrapped around his head, punching them in the head. And they don't understand how this little get up here doing this to me. And have you ever tried to get a suction cup off of someone? Because we've been taught as little people or quote midgets, you grab, you hold on, because if not, you're gonna go airborne. And if you've ever seen a little person bounce, we don't bounce.
And that's
So you would.
like 6 feet tall, standing like grabbing someone on the neck. That's like a 6-foot fall for you. That's
With all due respect, how tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Okay, now go up onto a 10-foot ladder and fall
No.
because
That's
it's your height plus half of your height. I'm
Yeah.
4 feet. He's 6 feet, and he's picking me up,
yeah,
slamming me.
no, not going to do that.
It's an interesting thing. I do recommend going to the bathroom before training.
That's
Exactly, because a couple of those slams, you just very quietly go, "Don't do that again."
that's now. Who was the? I don't know. Not who was your favorite, but who was like the best person that you wrestled? Who was the one that you felt you got your best out of?
Tiger Jackson, Claude Giroux, and nowadays his last role was Dink the Clown.
Okay, you wrestled
Okay?
him quite a bit too, right?
Yes, and he was one of my hardest components and everything because he knew how to work. He knew the old time wrestling and everything, but he also knew the comedy part too. He would have you in an armbar, wrist lock, and everything while goosing you. And yeah, so he knew when to throw the comedy in, but he also knew when to work. and how to work it. He was one of the only other midgets that I could actually do almost a 30 to a 40-minute match with.
Wow.
It would not be the same.
And you wrestled him quite a bit.
Oh, for a good 10 years.
That's because that was one of the things that kept popping up. It kept every poster. It was you and him or you and Dana. And
yeah, me, Dana, or Louie. Little Louie.
and Tiger Jackson, he was the television dink, right?
Yes, he was.
That was another.
We all did television. We all did the pay-per-views. When they had the Kings and the Turtles and the Lucha Libres and all of that type of stuff. I think I still have some of the costumes, actually. But because of Tiger's wonderful personality and his height and everything, he's the shortest one out of all of us. He comes to my chin.
Okay.
And everything. So he had that gimmick, too.
Were you one of the ones that got splashed by Bundy on TV?
Yes. And I don't want to say when, because that's going to show me my age.
Right, but that was like what?
It wasn't the big pay-per-view ones. These were just the local shows and all of that type of stuff, like the local cables that went up East and West Coast and Puerto Rico and then Europe and all of that type of stuff like that. You want your life passing before your eyes?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And
you pray to God. One thing I wanted to do with him, and I tried so hard. I wanted him to splash me, but the man, God rest his soul, would wipe himself down with baby oil and stuff. A lot of the boys would do that just to protect their skin. When he splashed me, I wanted him to stand up so I could be sticking to his stomach.
That would be hilarious.
Exactly. See my point? And then have him just look down going, oh, man, just like the old cartoons, and just like peel it off. And I just fall into a lump on the bottom at his feet. And he would walk out of the ring and end of the match, 1, 2, 3. But I couldn't stick to him because of the oil. And we would try and not to laugh in the ring so hard. And that was one of the early things. So you're biting your inside of your lip going, just pin me, will you? Get out. Thank you. We couldn't stop laughing.
Now, when you're at King Richard's Fair, because that's sort of an interactive thing.
Yeah, I like that. That's more fun.
Do you get to play with people at all?
When I first started, yes. But now, because I'm doing the blacksmith and I'm in the kind of a controlled area, I have a forge going, so I have a fire and everything like that. But I get to deal with the kids because somehow I spark their interest. I don't know why. I think it's the beard. But they'll ask me questions, so I still get to interact with them and explain to them about following one's dreams, doing what you want to do. And it doesn't matter who you are. You follow what you believe in. And that interacting, I'm doing it during throwing jokes and comedy and all of that stuff. So it's not a quote, quote lecture or learning. It's a memorable experience.
Now, getting back into the ring.
Yes.
In your years of wrestling, your countless countries, and it's been all over the States, what belts have you held? Have you had any titles?
Yes and no. I've owned the New England Wrestling Championship from Tony Rumble and all that stuff. I actually have the belt still in my room and everything. But because I was a heel, I kind of always said I made the other guy look good.
Right. You were always chasing.
You got it. And that was Louie, back to Louie, one of my opponents. He was the one cheating. He was the one that was every time I'd get that shot, he would do something and it would knock me down a rank and hold me down because he knew if I got that shot, he would never get that opportunity.
Now, you have the New England heavyweight title?
Well, for midgets, yes. But you're talking early 90s when I got that.
Right. Okay. So back in the day, like I didn't go to the independent shows. Me and Joe were probably out of our teen years at that point. And I can remember like Channel 23 in Boston watching Tony Rumble shows. So I was a fan of that, and that was where I got introduced to guys like Taz and Sabu and a lot of those guys that he would bring up before ECW was a thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say now you're starting to really name our age, Taz and all of those boys.
That's
The good, the workers, the good workers.
That's yes.
Take it beating, give it beaten.
Yeah.
Now we do a thing on the show where we give away a figure every week. I just got to spin a wheel real quick.
Okay.
With a bunch of names from people who did some retweets for us. Hang on one second. This is I just have to share my screen and
It's okay. Honey, grab my belt.
oh nice. This will just take me a moment here.
Do your thing, my friend. It's electronics.
That's I used to be good with them.
So
I have to have my teenager come here and help me. Oh, there you go.
I gotta shuffle my names up.
a lot of people this week.
Yeah, 28.
Hey, it's appreciated. Thanks, folks.
That's
hey,
it.
May we get a good winner tonight.
We are giving away. I gotta look at what figure it is we're giving away. I forget. This is for a. Let me see, a Roderick Strong WWE Series Chase figure. So this is one of the rare ones.
There you go. That'll be a collector's item soon.
Yeah,
that's already.
That's what we try for. We try to get the ones that are, either an elite figure, like the expensive ones, or we try to get something that's a chase, so a little more rare.
Something that the individual will remember. And that's
right. Good. Yeah, let's see.
Looks like we got.
Oh, is this Tommy Flynn? It is Tommy Flynn. So Tommy's a local kid. He's a Boston kid, cancer survivor. So I like that.
Good for him.
We like Tommy.
Is he win all the time? Is he one of the lucky ones?
He's won, I think, once before.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Well, he's won twice. This is the third time then. If he's won cancer once, which is a big win.
Yes.
And then these two. So yeah, good luck. Good job, Tommy.
I'll send him a message in a little while and let him know.
Yeah. You guys mentioned about the belts. My wife was very kind and pulled this one up. This was the one that I was able to get from Tony. And you're talking. Let's see if I can get this camera thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
There you go. There you go.
I can broaden us a little bit. That is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you actually got to keep the belt, huh?
Well, no one's been able to get it off of me yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Did I just hear the challenge get thrown out?
Oh, I would never do that because, I mean, I don't want to embarrass this younger generation on us older gentlemen being able to do it.
This now. If someone accepts your challenge, you're going to have JP and I escorting you to the ring, and I will help you without cheating to retain your belt.
Honestly, I think my wife stepping in would probably kick my opponent's butt. But yeah, if we can do this, I would be honored for a 60-year-old man to step back in the ring.
I can. I'll reach out to a few. I mean, there's one. I think you sort of described him earlier when you described some of the other the wrestlers where he's not quite a midget, but he wrestles as one. Because he's very close. Robbie Arujo, who's a good friend. And he tours around the country, but he's from the Fall River area. So
really, that's not that bad.
Yes, no.
But again, the old body, I don't know.
Right?
But
yeah, it's not the same.
Him a run for his money because I've held this for over 30 years.
That is something. And
so that's why I'm saying it will be a fight.
Well, then I think what it can be is the Irish Leprechaun Invitational. And then from there, there's like a little mini tournament, and I don't mean mini to be a jerk. Like there's a tournament of wrestlers,
yes.
And somehow in the tournament, you're entered into it, but no one knows about it. And when they're both all knocked out on the floor, you come in and pin them for the win.
There you go. There you go. I mean, we won't give our secrets away, but if anyone's willing to come forward and challenge, I mean, there's always that chance that they might take the belt from me after, again, 35 plus years.
Jeff, we get someone chiming in from the chat room. Charles Portalecki says he's an old friend of yours from high school.
He's my adopted brother.
Nice.
Him and me started shows many, many years ago, and God bless him. He is one of my friends that is 6'6", very hairy individual. But I want you to picture me and him in tutus, long blonde wigs, doing a version of the Nutcracker in front of about 5,000 people. That's how we introduced each other back in senior year in high school.
That's
awesome.
It's a memory. I think I'm just getting over the treatment program from that too.
Now, what was it like going through high school? Like back then, were you treated differently? Did the teachers treat you differently? Did you get bullied more or less?
Yeah and no. The teachers didn't know what to make of me. My mom, God rest her soul, brought us up on you want it, you go get it.
Okay.
And do it. And the kids, of course, nowadays, back then, again, kids can be very cruel. But I've learned, take their words and let it bounce off you. Use that negative for a positive. And now, by the time I got to junior high, all of my friends from kindergarten and all of that stuff, all of my classmates were standing up for me. And they wouldn't have let no one else because they said, you don't understand. That's not AKA midget. That's Jeff.
But you never know either. Like I got bullied as a kid.
I bullied him.
And now, so Joe hung around with the kids that were a little older. Like I hung around with the kids that were our age, and Joe hung around with his older brother and the kids that were a little older than us. So Joe was literally the one to be picking on me all the time. And now he's absolutely one of my best friends. So
again, that my friend Charles there, which is my brother, and his beautiful wife Laurie, which I call my sister, and I joke, I go, my brother and sister got married to each other. But they're good people. And yeah, at one time we were not mean to each other, but we learned to respect each other.
Right.
And now we're brothers.
And I learned I got less bullied than some of the kids I hung with because it was Joe bullying me and not his brother and some of the other kids it could have been. So
yeah,
when I was getting
that wasn't mean.
When I got bullied, I mean bullied, slapped around type stuff.
Yeah,
I stood up, and because of me being younger and quote the only male in my family, I was able to move things. And when someone is 3 foot tall at that time suddenly picks you up and slams you in the middle of the playground, it just ruins your whole. Oh, I slapped a midget. No, he kicked your butt.
It turns the crowd.
Right. You have nothing
onto your side.
You have nothing to lose by fighting back.
No.
And they have nothing to gain. Because if they beat you in a fight, then all right, you just beat up, you beat up little Jeff.
You beat up a midget.
But if you get beat up by little Jeff, you just got your ass kicked by little Jeff. Like, what's going on?
That's going to run with you for the rest of your life. And sadly, but that respect was taught at an early age not to do it. And that's why I said by the time I got to junior high and high school, everyone had the respect for me. And everyone's like, what do you prefer being called? A midget or a dwarf? And I said, Jeff. And everyone behind me said, that's Jeff. That's not a midget or a dwarf.
That's awesome.
It's respect. It's how you hold yourself and what you teach your locals and your friends.
That's and that's the fact that kids know that better than adults says something.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you watch the kids nowadays, they don't see color, shape, size. They don't see that. They're taught that from their parents.
Yes.
And that's a shame.
So if anyone's listening, I know we have a few people who listen who have kids, but most of the people who listen and have kids are that we interact with anyway are very respectful. But if you don't know better, learn from this, please, because the stuff you see on TV on the news, that's taught, and that's taught at home.
Yeah,
let's cut it out.
It is. If you want your child to be nice and respectful, teach the child that, but also teach your child the other side of the coin too. What can happen? You can't just show one side. You have to show both, so they understand and respect it.
That being, I think that's probably why you talked about it earlier, like about the kids approaching you and at King Richard's Fair.
Yes,
you're probably more approachable to them. You seem more approachable to them than someone who's 6'6" or 6'8". They know you're an older. They know you're an adult. You know, you have the beard. You're not one of them. But at the same point, they can look eye to eye with you and have a conversation, and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's what, in my opinion, what I've learned. When we were kids, we were taught to respect our adults. 99% of our adults are bigger than us. That's taller, larger, all that. So that's one of the first things that a child is basically taught. If you're bigger, larger, you respect. That's why I don't like the name little person. But as when a child sees me and stuff, they're more amazed because they're seeing the respect of an adult, but I'm not threatening because I'm not 6 foot tall, towering over them. I'm more their height. So they're able to open up and say, hey, what's going on? Why are you little? Why are you like this? And I quickly explain to them. And my first thing depends on the age of the child. I'll sit there and say, I don't eat my vegetables. And I open that comedy that, guys, listen what you can do. Grow to be big and strong. And if you're not, it doesn't matter. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and have love and faith for yourself, because that is going to be your road in your life.
We had someone else in the audience that I know knows you too. He does. I don't know this person, but I know he knows both of you, and he says one of you guys is an amazing person.
That would be Seth Carney.
That is Seth. He is a very, very good man. Very talented man. He's one of the
talented.
Yes, he's one of the gentlemen that does the Ren shows with me. I see him there and everything. He's the only one that I know that can eat fire, throw fire, swords, and all of that type of stuff.
And still
very
be fun.
Talented man. Very talented man.
Well, I'm gonna ask him now since he's listening. Hey, Seth, when are you gonna come on the show?
Right, that's been a year or two.
Yeah, and he would be good for this and everything again because he's talented.
We might even try. You know what? Maybe we'll take the show on the road and do it live at King Richard's.
There you go.
That would be interesting.
That would go because and also speak to M.A. Shapiro and Bonnie them who run the show because quote that's PR for them.
Yep, free advertising.
You got it. Talk to them about that, and people can see who, what, where, when. Because as I said, like Seth and myself and a couple other individuals, the unique characters are there, and we would love to see it.
No, definitely. I'm going to reach out, and if you don't mind me using your name, we spoke about it as a little reference.
Tell them I said to go to them and explain who you are, what you are, and everything like that, and they might go, good idea. Come on down.
Yeah, I think that would work.
I hope it does, my friend. I hope it does.
All right.
That's
and everything. And you can see like the talent like Seth and all the other talent that is through there from the cat shows and the sword making and even Knights.
JP likes the burlesque.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about the burlesque show you took me to?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I didn't think you would. I didn't think you would.
Show. That was where was it? It was in the Midway Cafe in Jamaica Plain.
Yes.
And it was. Let's just say, for two men who were raised Irish Catholic, it was shocking. It was very entertaining.
The performers literally came up to us afterwards and said, "What the hell are you two doing here?"
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I was just going to sit there going, all right, guys.
They saw some
But
interesting
it is
stuff.
a good talent.
So Seth is going to drop the PR lady a message, and I'll follow it up with an email, and we can try to make that work.
I hope
Now,
it does, kids. You got a good talent there. You got a good man and a good talent there.
If we do it live at the
Thank you.
fair, we can have
Thank
everybody pop in and pop out throughout the show.
There you
Now,
go.
Jeff, we've just hit an hour.
Already? Oh, my stars.
Right? Where can people find you? Like, you on the internet? Are you?
I'm on internet. I'm on quote, like I mentioned, we had computer issues because I'm relocated, moved, and all that stuff. I'm on the internet under my name, Jeff Ludy, and stuff. And I'm also the Leprechaun Legends is also one of my pages too. And you're able to go see some of the pictures that I've done overseas and all of that stuff, me midair flight, all of that type of stuff. It's actually even on my webpage on Facebook on some of those pictures too.
I will check that out.
Yeah, you can contact me through my Facebook page and all of that stuff. And once I get everything running, I'll let everyone know what, who, where, when.
And
Awesome,
anybody
and we will.
If you can't find Jeff, you can get him through me. He's on my friends list. Same with
I'm mine as well.
Oh, I'm on it. Same guys. Same.
That's now. Guys, you can get us at Three Irish Boys. Next week, 4th of July, guys. No show next week, but we'll be back the week after. So
the week after, we'll be back with the tattoo artist talking about tattoos and wrestling.
Yes, and working on a couple of big ones.
There you go. It'll be a good show. Tune in, folks. It's going to be a good show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.